this better work, because I did film studies A level, and if it doesn't work, I will be grumpy. Let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and happy 2023. It's a new year, new us. Slightly different setup for me today. I've got a microphone to record audio because I know when I sit down and do these talkie vlogs, there's something in my camera that makes a lot of noise and it's really annoying. I'm still trying to work out how to turn it off or fix it. Did the dogs have to start barking now? So I thought I would kickstart this year with a Q&A because this YouTube channel did better than I thought it would, considering how inconsistent I was last year with it. I'm gonna work on it. It's tricky. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. So I thought I'd do a Q&A. I asked on Instagram and I got a lot of responses, question mark. I thought I would get started and answer a few of them. So let's get into it. Okay, number one, do you ever get recognised in any shops with your photo up? I don't, which is nice because there aren't actually that many shops with my photo up. But guys, let's get me in more shops. But I do get people taking photos of me in different places and sending them to me on Instagram, which I love. So please, if you do that, it's so cute and it really, I'm like, it's like, oh, I'm getting there. Like, it's like a nice milestone. It's like when people were taking photos of me when I was on the tube, like that was, like, it's so affirming and it's like, I am making the right choice. I am going the right direction. So yeah, I don't get people recognizing me also, I get told a lot by my family in particular that I don't look like myself from photos on shoots. Like, I always look super glam in photo shoots, and then normally I don't. I don't know what that says about me as a person. But what parts of your job do you find the hardest, and what do you find the easiest? I'd say the hardest is definitely, it's a couple of things. It's the rejection, for one, like when you don't get picked for a job that you really want, or even just like the instability. Like, some months you can have like tons of jobs and the next months you'll have none. So it's like, you really, like, it's not a consistent job, and I've struggled with that at first. Now I've learned to take the downtime in my stride and build other skills, but yeah, the rejection and the inconsistency is probably the hardest. The best, or like the easiest for me, is meeting new people. I can talk someone's ear off. To be fair, I love being in front of a camera. Case in point, right here. Yeah, I just love meeting people. I love being creative. It's just, it comes easily to me and it comes naturally, and I always love working as a group to create a final product. Like when you stand around a monitor and the client's going, that's what I wanted, you're like, yes, I did it. And the photographer, you share a look with the photographer and you're like, the makeup art, it's like, team, we did it. So yeah, that's like the best bit, and I say that's the easiest bit for me. If you could pick any career, what would you pick and why? So when I was younger, I wanted to be a vet, and now I'm glad I'm not a vet, because I think I would struggle with putting the animals down, and also I'm not very good with bones. I'm fine with blood, but when I see a bone, I'm like, can't do that. So I think right now my dream career is probably what I'm doing, which is useful. But I also am looking at getting into acting, so I think as well being a successful actress would be a win for me. So modelling and acting in a more consistent and successful sense would probably be my dream career. Do you feel you have clout because of who you're dating? No, he should have clout because of who he's dating. How does one overcome camera consciousness and shyness while continuously posing? If anything, while you're continuously posing, it gets easier. I find that the first few shots with a photographer, or with anyone really, are always the most awkward, because you don't know what their shooting style's like and you don't know what they're expecting of you. I genuinely find it's just the shyness at first that you need to get over. So I'd practice taking photos at home by yourself and find what poses you're comfortable with doing, and then branching out from there. Because the only way to get over a fear is by facing it head on or going to really expensive therapy. And I find the first one is much more suitable for most people. Practice with someone you trust, who'd be like, hey, I really don't like how I look in photos. So this road is a 20. Yeah, find someone you're comfortable with and practice with them. And it just takes time, and it just takes. At first, I was really stiff in front of a camera. My first test shoot I ever did, I had no idea what I was doing, and my face looks. You can see the fear in my eyes. Whereas now, like once you get into a groove and you kind of practice and you get better and you learn different emotions, things like that. That's always useful. Are you named after the girl from the movie? Well, joke is there are actually 2 movies with my name, so I'm Annie, but my full name's actually Anastasia, and I was actually named after neither of those. So no is the answer. Roles you'd want if you pursue acting. Okay, so big goals. You know what? Dreams are useless if they're not big. So I feel like roles that I would kill to have. I'd love to be a Bond girl. I feel like I could smash being a Bond girl. I'd be that Bond girl that, not the femme fatale. I couldn't do the whole like, like double agent, like the sexy one that he sleeps with and then like stabs in the back. I'd be the one. I'd be more January Jones. No, that's not right. Who is it? Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. I don't know. She's got a really weird name. No, I'd be the one that I'd be like more like Anna de Armas in like the latest ones. She's like there for a fun action scene, sexy, flirty, doesn't necessarily sleep with him, and then they go their separate ways and you never see her. I feel like that would be me. I feel like I'd be like the fun one. I'd be the one who rocks up, causes them havoc, maybe works for MI5. He sees later like with Moneypenny and she's like, who's this? And he's like, oh, just like a field jockey. And I'm like, hello. Like that would be me. Although I do need a ball gown scene. I feel like that would be me as a Bond girl. And then as well, I go on about this a lot. I think another role that I would kill to have is the role of Feyre in. So my favourite book series, Court of Thorns and Roses, is being remade into a TV series. And I would like cut off my own leg and stitch it back on to get the role of Feyre, because I just feel like it's such a good series and I would be honoured to portray her in this because she's such an amazing character. And I feel like she would be like the next Khaleesi. I'm not saying I could ever be Emilia Clarke, and Khaleesi was next level, although I would love to be in House of the Dragon as well. I love how I have these really grand visions for myself, but I'll get there. You laugh. I will get there. So yeah, I feel like those would be big. Those would be great. I would never want to do anything on like the West End. I have really bad, ironically, I have really bad stage fright in front of like crowds of people. Because when it's filming and when it's photos, you can make mistakes and it's fine because just get deleted. But when you can take it again, like you can do more takes. But I feel like on stage, every night you've got the pressure to do it perfectly, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't do that. Plus my singing's not strong enough to be on the West End. Oh, this is actually related. Not a question, but you look like Cersei in Game of Thrones. I don't think I do, but I'll let the general public decide if I do. Hey Annie, how do you manage to read this many books? So I read a lot. That's a given. So you know those times when you are sat scrolling on your phone like aimlessly, so think like public transport, on the couch after a day of work, like in bed before you sleep. Those are times, my cat keeps snoozing. Those are the times that I'm reading. And so I choose to read, like when I give myself a break from work, I read a book. I'm a quick reader as well. That's another thing. My sister can attest to this. I read really quickly, but it's definitely like whenever I get the chance, and it's definitely a mind over matter thing. Like I kind of had to train myself out of picking my phone up and scrolling first. So, but public transport, if you commute to work and it's 30 minutes, there is, and like especially on the tube when there's no signal, or you know those times when you're just like, the signal keeps dropping on the, for me, like underground, or like if you're American, maybe the subway in New York, like the internet keeps dropping and it's a nightmare and you're just like struggling with your phone. Stop the struggle, pick up a book. Like that's what I do. So it's just finding pockets in the day, and also reading before bed is really good because it means that you kind of like allow your brain to wind down. And yeah, that's kind of when I read. I read like when I'm eating my lunch, I read. When I wake up in the morning and I've got like 10 minutes spare, I read. So that's what I do. Ever considered police as a career? No. Not because I think I'd be a bad policewoman. It just doesn't appeal to me because of the paperwork. I know there's a lot of paperwork involved if you're a policewoman. Also, I have a fundamental issue with police women. No, not policewomen. A fundamental issue with the way women are not accounted for, but just like aren't considered with the police. So stab vests for women don't account for boobs. So more often than not, if you have a bigger chest, you have to have a bigger stab vest, which has a bigger hole here. And if you stab in the ribs, you're dead. So yeah, I mean, it's also just, it's not for me. Like, I think police, like everybody who does like an emergency service job is incredible. It couldn't be me. Plus also I'd probably start crying if I had to arrest someone. I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I'm having a bad day. Like, that would be me as a policewoman. What was your favourite book as a kid? Ooh, I don't know. Again, I read a lot as a kid as well. I used to be obsessed with this series, and it's like 2 books, and I forget what the first one's called. And I know it was based off Little Red Riding Hood. I'll find it. I know there's another one called Sweetly by the same author, and I love that one. And if I can remember them, I'll pop them up. But I loved those. I mean, I also love Hunger Games and Twilight. I love Twilight. Twilight was great. The films do not do the books justice, and I will die on that hill that those books are way better than the films, like, for sure. And then, I'm British. I read Harry Potter in like year 4. And then when I was really little, my favourite book was a book called Not Now, Bernard. It's really weird. It's about this kid who keeps getting told by his family, not now, not now. And I think a monster eats him. Yeah. I'm going to do one more. And this one is, what's your best method to keep your life balanced? And I got this advice when I was going through a breakup when I was like 18, and it's stuck with me ever since. And basically, the way you should see your life is like a circle. So there, but you should split your life into like a pie chart. So I was given this advice in the context of relationships, but it really helps in terms of everything else if you're struggling with anything. So looking at your pie chart, you've got to work out which bits are important to you right now, which bits you can axe, which bits you can keep. And that's kind of, to me, how I like to keep my life balanced. And as well, it's really helpful if you're going through relationship dramas to think to yourself, realistically, like, when lots of people, when they get dumped, they go, but they were my life. And you're like, no, look at what else you've got. It was a problem when they were taking up more of your life than they should, and they were taking up so much space, it left so little for everything else. So you can look at those other sections and be like, oh my God, this is for me. Same with career. If your job takes up way too much of your time, and maybe you lose it, maybe you realise, maybe you take a step back and go, whoa, what have I missed out on? What am I not doing for myself that I could be because of this? So that's kind of, to me, how I visualise my life and how I visualise balance. Because otherwise it goes to shit. You don't have a life. So, and balance is key. Like, I'd much rather have sections in my life. I mean, if something's unbended, some things don't bend, some things do. And you've just got to find things that will bend and will understand, especially with people. I remember, for context, when my boyfriend was doing his degree, he sent me he was communicating, which is incredible. He sent me a long text that basically saying I'm going to have to stop doing date nights as often just because I've got to focus on my degree. And I loved that because it was him acknowledging that he wouldn't have as much time for me as he usually would. I understood it was his degree, it's super important. And then as well, sometimes if you send those messages and the person's like, wait, no, it's like, oh, wrong person. If they can't understand when something's important to you and when you've got to put more focus on it, should you be with them? Mm-hmm. So I find balance by just looking at what I have and looking what I could do more of in certain areas or less of in other areas. And that's kind of what works for me. Short and sweet Q&A for you guys today. I'm really hoping this setup works out. We moved some stuff around in the kitchen, and I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas, holiday season if you don't celebrate, and a wonderful new year. And hopefully here is to more consistent videos in 2023. Bye. Oh, wait, as well, don't forget to hit the notification bell. Wow, she's a pro. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Don't forget to subscribe. Drop a like. Let me know if you've got any other questions down below, if you have any answers to anything, or if you found this even vaguely helpful. My socials are linked below. Go give me a follow. Come say hi. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.